All right. So before we get started with the PowerPoint, I know some of you guys I don't really see because the vast majority of you guys, you are the online group. I know there's a couple people that weren't able to make a different meeting, so they came to this one. But I'm Brandy Blackburn. I know I've talked to you guys, but again, I don't see you, but since you're online. I'm Brandy Blackburn. I'm the Director for Professional Education Services. Our office, as you guys know, oversees all the clinicals and student teaching, and we will help you with your application for your licensure upon graduation. And I know a lot of you with the online program have worked with Abby Huber in the past, but we've kind of changed the way we've done things this semester. So Abby will be focusing on our lower level clinicals, which is our 1s, 150s, and 200s. And so now you guys will actually have a team. There's going to be a clinical educator team lead that if your assigned clinical educator has questions, they will go to. So always make sure if you have questions, you guys start with your assigned clinical educator. If you don't have your placement yet, I know there's a couple placements we're still waiting on. Bear with us because, all this weather, the schools have been out. It's been a little hard to get these last placements that we're waiting on. I think the majority of you guys have them. Fayette County, if you're a Fayette County person, you might still be waiting on Fayette County because they may be waiting on you with your background information first or background check first that they have you guys do. So hopefully by the end of this week, if not early next week, we'll have everything, all the placements given. But if you have questions regarding the placement, you can send myself or Angela Baker an email. And I'm just brandy.blackburn@eku.edu, and she is just angela.baker@eku.edu. And we can answer questions if you're one of the ones that hasn't received a placement yet. Let's see. Angela, if you just want to say hello briefly, just because you might have not worked with most of these individuals either. And then also, guys, I think at least 3 of your methods professors are on this call as well. So Dr. Hodge, Dr. Shimizu, and Dr. Campbell are all here. I think you guys had a meeting with them at the end of last week.
Correct.
So to go over methods requirements and getting intro for that. So again, this is really just going to focus on clinicals for 450. And then we're also going to talk about the application for student teaching, which actually opens up on Monday, I think. So we're going to go through that process as well. So what we'll do is we'll go through the clinical part for 450, stop, ask questions, and then we'll move on to the student teaching part, and then we'll ask questions. If you have questions, we'll talk about that at the end. So Angela, just say hello so that they know you.
And hi everyone. I did put a picture up. I am too lazy to get all prettied up like Miss Brandy here, who is super photogenic and makes me just so jealous. But I just wanted to say hi. I'm here for you. If you don't have a placement yet and you want to stay on just a couple minutes at the end, I did have a couple come in. I can't remember if they're 450 because I deal with a lot of placements. So, but I do know one particular 450 that I'll probably email you while we're on here. But just wanted to say hi and let you know I'm here for you. Thanks.
Yeah, and again, and like Ms. Baker said, bear with us. We have almost 1,000 clinical students this semester, and there are only three of us essentially that work on placements in the office. So, I mean, we only have 4 of us anyway,
and I'm part-time.
Yeah, and Angela's part-time. So, as you can see, and with the jump from fall to spring not being very much time, it's a little crazy. Summer is much easier on us. So, having summer as a buffer. So just bear with us. Like I said, we'll get them to you as soon as we can. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started. Let me know if you guys can see my PowerPoint. Just give me a thumbs up. Perfect. All right. And I like to always show my puppies. So this is my puppy, Corporal Dorati, 125 pounds, wants to lay on you like he's 5 pounds. He'll be 5 in April. It's hard to believe that he's that old now. And Gracie is going to be 3 on Valentine's Day, so not very much longer. And but the funny thing is she's only 55 pounds, but she like tells him what to do, which is always fun. Yeah, she's crazy. I'm waiting for they say golden retrievers calm down after like age 2. She's gonna be 3. She's still not calmed down. So I don't know. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. All right, so let's jump into clinicals, guys. So, you guys, a couple things will be a little bit different for you all just because you're online. So the traditional elementary methods group does have a calendar that they follow with set days that they go out to their clinicals. You guys don't have that. But what I ask that you guys do, because you are required to get 80 hours during 450, that is going to get you to this 80 hours is now going to get you to that magic number of 200 clinical hours, which is the number that allows you to move on to student teaching. So 80 hours is non-negotiable. Got to get those 80 hours in. And honestly, if something would have happened, you might want to check yourself and make sure that you had 120 coming into the semester, because if for some reason you didn't, you need to get more than 80 because we got to make sure you at least have the 200. So with your 80 hours, it is my preference that you all have a whole day that you go to clinicals, and I'd like it to be a regular pattern that you work out with your clinical educator and your cooperating teacher, just because, especially the cooperating teacher, they need some sort of to get on a rhythm, a schedule with you, so it's not disruptive of the classroom. And then also your cooperating teacher or your clinical educator rather, needs to know your schedule so that you guys can all 3 work together to determine in scheduling those observations that you're going to have. So again, if you have already and you have your placement, go ahead and send an introductory email to both your cooperating teacher and your clinical educator. And go ahead and start working with them on when you are going to start going. Obviously this week, everybody's closed, NTI, you're not going this week. But maybe hopefully next week you can, start going, and, at least have a day where you can, or a partial day maybe where you can go meet with the cooperating teacher and maybe meet the students, and get that set up. So you also, just like we have in the past, you are still able to use 5 of the hours can be in be doing other things other than just your actual clinicals. If you sub for your district, or if you want to volunteer for after school tutoring and after school events, you can see, there's a bunch of things on this list. If you would like to use 5 of those hours of the 80 hours towards that, you can. It's not required. This is just something that we offer just because it's kind of nice for you guys to be able to get a feel for other things that teachers do outside of the classroom, because, they're responsible for a lot, between car pickup, drop off, and lunch duty, and covering other rooms now when there's shortages. There's not a sub to cover, just all of the things. So if you want to do any of those, you can, like I said, you can have 5 hours towards that. And when you log your hours, you'll still be logging your hours in KEX and FLL like you have previously. You will just note those in the notes, that's what you were doing for those 5 hours, for what you were doing for those 5 hours. I'm not going to go through these slides, but it's part of the PowerPoint. If you need a refresher on how to log your hours in KEX, and just be mindful of, a lot of times it's human user error on things. Like you guys might pick the wrong semester or the wrong clinical when you go to log your hours, and when we run the report, it'll look like you don't have any logged, but it's because you logged them. You picked the wrong thing. So just be mindful of that. when you're logging your hours that you're picking the right semester and the right clinical and the right year, and just, all the choices are the accurate choices, so that when we pull the report, it's an accurate reflection of your hours. Because we like to watch those throughout the semester to make sure that you're on track to get to that 200. Because again, you guys are going to be student teaching in the fall, or the majority of you should be anyway. So I'm just going to scroll through those. You can look at them, when you want to. Just like every other clinical, guys, it's contract grading again. Everybody starts with an A, so it's up to you on whether or not you keep that A. You'll keep your A, it's guaranteed, if you demonstrate professional dispositions within your clinicals and in communication with our office, with your cooperating teacher, with your clinical educator. I will tell you that 9 times out of 10, that's the reason for a grade not being an A. It's professionalism of some sort. It's timeliness, not showing up on time, leaving early, not communicating when we've sent you emails, not letting your cooperating teacher or political educator know that you're out and they show up for an observation and you're not there. So those are just some of the things that I have seen during my time as a director. So just make sure that that you are that you're keeping in communication when you're getting sent those emails, whether it be from my office or one of your CE or CT. And you will have a disposition completed on you by your clinical educator, just like you have in previous clinicals. Again, your lesson plans is still going to be required to be submitted within 2 business days prior to the lesson. And again, we do that because, if you have a lesson that you're going to teach on a Monday, we don't want you sending this on a Saturday or Sunday to your CE. That's their weekend. We need to honor their time off. And they need time to be able to review that lesson and give you legitimate feedback that you can make corrections on before you teach that lesson. So that's why we put that as 2 business days. Submitting your post-observation reflections within 3 days of your lesson. We want you, as you go each week, submit those hours in SLL and KEX. Again, because we want to be able to see as the semester moves along that you're making progress towards those 80 hours. And then lastly, this is something a little different. You guys, in previous clinicals, in your 300 and 400, you, on your final evaluation, had to receive a holistic 2. Now we're bumping it up to a holistic 3, and this will be for 450 and also for student teaching for 499 as well. The reason why is, you guys have been doing this for a while now. You're seniors, and the expectation is that we should see a little bit more. We should see growth, and your quality of your lessons should be increased. Having said that, don't freak out. You may very well not get a 3 on your first lesson, and that's okay. You're going to teach 4 lessons, and that's what the clinical educator that you're assigned is for, to help you with that growth throughout the semester to get you to that holistic 3. So they're going to work with you to get you there. So so don't freak out at the beginning if it's not where you want to be right away. And also, guys, don't freak out if you don't get a 4. If you don't get a 4 in any area, because those are like rock star teachers that have been doing it forever, and some of them don't even get 4s. You can ask your methods professors. Like, that's just not the norm. And honestly, there's several subcategories of those standards that you can't necessarily even meet in a lesson, so you're not going to get the 4 anyway. So don't freak out. I know it's hard. I was that person in school. If I didn't get the A+, I was upset. I wanted the best. But getting a 3 is amazing, and that is what you shoot for. So don't worry about it if maybe one of your friends does get a 4 in a category or something. That is not the norm. 3 is fabulous. So just shoot for that 3. So again, on the flip side, if you fail to meet any of those requirements that I talked about, that can drop your grade. And and also not logging those clinical hours, that's the biggie. So again, we want you to at least, I want you to you guys again are different. You're not following that calendar, but make sure that you have everything that you've done logged by midterm, which for you guys will be end of day on March 2nd, because they're a lot of the hours is probably potentially going to be what your midterm grade is comprised of, because there may not be an observation yet. There may or may not be. There might be one. So make sure again that you're getting those hours logged. You will fail the course if you don't get to that holistic 3 for your final eval. You don't get those 80 hours in, and I need those into CACs and SLL by Monday, May 1st. So guys, put these in your calendars or whatever you do. Like if you have a written, a physical calendar or an online calendar that you use, log these days. These are important dates. Earning multiple scores of 1s or 2 on your professional dispositions can cause you to fail. Again, this is mainly related to timeliness and communication. If you all have 2 different dispositions that have 1s or 2s, that will trigger you having to come to PEAK, which is our Professional Education Advisory Committee. And that committee is comprised of faculty, principals outside of EKU. We actually have an undergrad and a grad representative. And that committee actually determines if you go on a improvement plan, if you have to retake a course. We've had in the past, I don't ever want to see this happen again, but and obviously this was like some big things that occurred, but we've had to kick a couple of people out of the program. So just don't get any positions that trigger you having to come to PEAK. You don't want that. It's not that means also that you're thing. And God, I've said this and I'll say it over and over and over again. From the time you start here at EKU clinicals all the way through, you're on a job interview and people talk. Districts are small. The education field is small. It doesn't matter if you're planning on going 2 districts over, people talk. And if you earn a reputation, that reputation is going to follow you and they will not hire you. So please make sure that you are professional and doing what you should do in your clinicals. So Canvas will be set up just like it has been previously, guys. It'll have all your templates. Nothing changes with your templates. It's still the same lesson plan template, same post-observation reflection. All of that remains the same. The syllabus is in there, student handbook. There's videos and written instructions for logging hours for PECs and SLL. Free praxis prep, which note that because we'll talk about that in a little bit when we talk about student teaching. So if you haven't already been in your Canvas shelf, go in there and just take a look around and look at all the resources that are available to you. Again, still using SLL, Student Learning and Licensure, that we started last semester. That is our new assessments program and where we log our hours. If you all have not been enrolled into SLL and you didn't receive a code, you need to contact the bookstore. Anytime you're doing anything with SLL, whether it be that you're going in to put your observation materials in or assign your disposition or final evaluation to your cooperating or your clinical educator, please go through Canvas. The links are in there that will take you directly to that assessment. And so that way you don't have to worry about, putting in the wrong person or the wrong assessment. So always use your links through Canvas. And if you have technical issues, not like questions about your lesson plan or questions about like, what do I do, if we have a snow day or whatever, technical SLL questions. Kathleen Johnson, she's our data manager for the college, and she oversees my clinicals for CED clinicals. So if you have anything technical, there's her email, and shoot her an email. But anything related to the actual course, your clinical educator is your first line of communication. Always your clinical educator. They will reach out to us if they don't know the answer and get back with you. Again, like I said earlier, If you haven't already, email your assigned CE and CT, introduce yourself, set up a time. They might want to meet with you individually or as a group now that they have their rosters to go over their own expectations and requirements. So just go ahead and send those emails out in the next day or two. All right, so I'm at a stopping point for clinicals. Questions related to 450 clinicals.
I have one.
Okay, Rhiannon, go ahead.
My placement is an English teacher. So how would I teach a math class? How would that work? Because it's third grade, but they switch classes. So she only does English.
Okay, so what you will do is you are going to have to work with the rest of that team for third grade and teach your those lessons in the other classrooms.
Okay, does my CT follow me to each one to observe me?
So your CT only scores one lesson.
Okay.
So have your CT score your English lesson.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, having said that, guys, you guys will teach all 4 subject areas. I'm assuming, and I know that the methods team went over that last week. For my purposes, you're only required 3 lessons. So, and 2 of them are going to be observed and scored by your clinical educator and 1 by your cooperating teacher. But you still have to teach 4 and for the methods team. So, and another thing that I'm asking you guys to do, and the clinical educators are aware of it, is that I would like for pre-midterm, for you to teach, if you teach, but I want you to at least go 3 to 4 times before you even consider teaching. Teach your math lesson first, because we have a numeracy requirement now by the state, and Dr. Campbell and Dr. Miller and their team have an additional rubric for math that they have to do. And so they probably already talked to you about the fact that you're going to record that math lesson and upload it, and they're going to score that rubric separately than just your typical math observations. So that's why we asked that to be done first, so that team has to do all of 450 students and all of 499 students. And there's over 100 students. So they need to have time to be able to score those the rest of the semester. So that's why we're asking for your math lesson to be your first lesson. Jacob, I see your hand up.
I haven't been contacted by my clinical educator, so I don't know who it is. I know my placement. I've met my CT already, but I kind of need to know who my CE is.
Angela, do you care to look at that real quick?
Yep, I missed the name. Is it Jacob Ellswick?
Yeah.
Yes.
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Megan.
So you said SLL if you haven't gotten a code from the bookstore to go talk to them. Does that also apply for like last semester I used it? Do I have to get a code?
I'm trying to think. Angela, do you know the answer to this? Like, once they have it, are they in, or is it a new code every semester? I'm not sure on that.
Sorry, I'm slow flipping back and forth between my spreadsheets and this. I know my understanding is from students that I've worked with is that once they have it, they're done.
Okay, so you guys should already be able to
code.
log in. So try to go in, guys, in it, and if you can't get in, then reach out to the bookstore. Eva, you got a question?
Yes. I'm in the in-person methods class. Do you think I should just send my CT like my calendar, like the set dates that I'm gonna come and just be like, I'll be here these days?
Yeah, go ahead and send the CT. I sent your CEs, like all the CEs that are that are overseeing 450 students, they have the calendar. But yeah, it'd be a good idea. Go ahead and send your CT the calendar too. And that way they know when you're coming. Lindsay, you have a question?
So you mentioned earlier, and I just wanted to make sure that I heard you correctly, that you recommend that the first day we go to our placements that we stay the full day. Like it's not like a half a day, but you recommend that we stay the full day.
So, well, okay. I want you, if possible, on a normal basis to stay the full day. Maybe you might not stay that full day the first day because you may just have it to where it's just going to be you going. That might be your introduction, like to where you have a chance to talk with the cooperating teacher, maybe go a little bit early to meet the class. So that first day might not be a full day. It's just talk with your CT and see what they would like to do. But after having that introductory meeting, however that happens, it would be my preference that you go an entire day, just because I want you to see the entirety of the day every time you go. Because if you're only going for a certain chunk, you're not seeing, everything that happens throughout the day, and that's important.
That day is a real good day to ask her when you arrive if you could have some schools have handbooks for their staff and procedures, or they have a specific behavior plan. If you can go and maybe either at the end of it or sometime you're there during their planning, if you can get all that information while they're busy teaching and you're looking at bulletin boards and things like that, which are a wealth of information, you might preview that information. And then if that teacher has planning, then spend some time asking some questions about things. That's a real good use of your first day and gives you a good head start.
Let's see. Lindsay, or no, you're down. Megan, you have another question?
Yes. So I just wanted to. So you said earlier that we're no longer communicating with Abby for our placements anymore. We talked to you.
Yeah. Have you not received your placement yet?
So my clinical educator reached out to me saying that she's heard this is my placement, but she said that I would get an email with the contact information from someone else. And I never got that. And then not to mention the school she said the grade kindergarten, they don't have, at least when I went to the school, they didn't have a grade kindergarten. So I was confused. I was like, okay.
All right, hold on a second. Let me look at your.
But yeah, she was like,
You're
someone
at
will email you
Wilmore.
this
You're at
information.
Wilmore, and I'm going to chat you your CT's name, and it's kindergarten.
I didn't know Wilmore had kindergarten. At least they didn't when I was in school.
Things change.
Wow. Okay. Well,
And also, your clinical educator was the one, Gina, was it Miss Bernard that sent you the
yes.
placement?
Yes.
Yeah, so Miss Bernard is the person that you work with this semester. She's your clinical
Okay.
educator. So any questions that you have, you direct them to Miss Bernard.
Okay.
And she's going to be the one that comes and observes you and all of that. So again, guys, your clinical educator is your first contact. Olivia, you got a question?
Yeah, so earlier when you were talking about the math lesson that we had to do and that being the first one, did you say that that's when we just need to record ourselves teaching?
Yes. Yeah, that's the only one that, unless something would happen and your clinical educator can't come for a different observation and they ask you to record, that is the math lesson is the only lesson that you record. It will be observed and recorded. So your clinical educator will probably be there to observe it and score it for the CED 450 purposes, but you need to record the lesson for the numeracy team. And there's another link in your Canvas shell for you to upload the link for that recording.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it's two different. So basically, the math lesson, it hits two things. It hits your regular observation for CED 450, and then also the numeracy KNIT requirement, which there's a link for that in your Canvas.
Okay, so we'll record.
And you just upload, you guys can record it and upload it to YouTube and have a YouTube link. However you want to record it, you can use GoReact. It's in there. It's just whatever's easier for you, but you'll upload that link for the recording for the numeracy team.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about clinical? All right, then I'm gonna go ahead and move on to student teaching. Let me get back to my screen. All right, so the student teaching application, guys, it opens up next week. The application is open from February 1st through the 15th. It's going to open in Slate. And this next slide, and again, guys, I'm going to send the this PowerPoint tomorrow and also the recording as well. But there, this slide has the link to the application, and then also a link after you've applied to your application status, so you can just see as it goes through, like, because once you apply, like, I have to look at it. Both of your advisors, your primary and secondary advisors, have to look at it and make sure everything's good. So you'll get to follow that status. Another thing that it will show you, and you'll see it in a couple of slides here in a few minutes, is there are going to be documents that you guys are going to be required to have to complete prior to student teaching. And that portal is also going to show your status for those documents being submitted as well. Don't worry about any of that right now, the specifics on the documents. Once you apply, you're going to receive 2 different invites from me. I hold 2 different informational meetings about the student teaching documents. You pick the one that works for you to come to, but I'm going to invite you to both and just accept the one that works for you. The first one, and it's in here as well. The first one's going to be Monday, the 16th, I believe, of February. And it'll be from 5 to 6 over Zoom. And then the next one will be the next day on Tuesday, the 17th, from 6 to 7 over Zoom. So whichever one works for you, just accept the one that fits your schedule the best. But this next slide, it shows you guys what this application is going to look like. And you guys just, fill in your information. If it's not already populated, you'll pick what your certification area is, which is what your concentration elementary. I think for most of you guys, some of you guys might also have special education, your dual concentration. One thing that we want to make sure that you do put in, and you see that the third box that's circled in red, your EPSB ID. So that account that you guys go into for KEX to log your hours, that is your EPSB account. That is going to follow you the rest of your life. Like, that's where you get your licensure, and you renew your licensure every 5 years, and you go in and get your rate changes, and or if you get additional certs, so like all of that's done through that account. And so I want you to put your EPSB ID number in there, because that will help Roswell in our office when it comes time to do that paperwork for you guys with EPSB. If he already has that information logged, he won't have to ask for it. The next slide and part of the application is it's going to ask you to list your first, second, and third choice of district preferences for where you want to be student teach. You guys can student teach, like, wherever you're living at, that's what you put. And there should not be an issue for you all to get your first choice. I never have issues with first choices for student teaching, because you all are the first people that we placed. So it's wide open at that point. If those are drop downs, so if your district does not happen to be listed, because it might be an independent school district that we just don't have listed, that fourth block, put that district there. And that triggers me to know that's your first choice. If you want to stay, the person that we assigned you for this semester for 450, if you know that teacher and you all have good rapport and you want to stick with them for the first part of student teaching, click yes. If not, click no. And you can be with them for your first 8 weeks of student teaching. If you have attended school in any of the districts, and for you guys, it would just be elementary, obviously. I would prefer for you guys to get outside of the elementary school that you've maybe worked in, or obviously if you have family that works there, or if you have children that go to school there, or siblings, just because I don't want them to think of you in that way. I want them to think of you as a colleague. So I think it's problematic when, when you have already have those relationships built, it can kind of, it can kind of cloud things sometimes. So my preference is for you all to be in a school that you've not had experience with before. But having said that, I know that some of you guys are in smaller, more rural districts, and there might only be one elementary school. So that's okay. Like, if that's it, then that's what we're doing. We're putting you there. I'm not going to keep you I'm not going to make you have to drive to go to this different district because of that. But if we have the opportunity, I would prefer you to broaden your horizons to a different school. And then lastly, you've done this before. It's another declaration. I think you've done them in the past when you were put in for to be admitted to the program at 300 level. So you're just, doing all of those disclosures on if you've been any misconduct or if you've been to court, any kind of criminal offense. You just go through and answer those questions. And then lastly, in place of your signature, just type out your full legal name, and that will be what we use as your signature for the application. And then again, it will tell you if there's any errors and it won't let you submit. So if you do, fix those, and then you can go ahead and submit your application when you are ready. And then, like I said, this will be what the portal looks like to view your status of your application. Like I said, it's going to go to the fact that it's got to go to your advisor for approval. And then it's also going to show you all of those different student teaching documents that you're going to complete ahead of student teaching. That again, we're going to talk about that during those meetings. So don't even worry about those until we have the meeting. Everything that I actually already covered this slide. Again, it's just talking about your choices. I guess the last couple. Don't contact schools or specific teachers to get a placement for yourself. We work very hard and diligently and in close partnership with these districts to place you with the teachers that we feel are the best for you. Now, having said that, if there is a teacher that really does want you and has approval from their principal, that teacher may reach out to me by email and request you. But I do not want you to send me email requesting a certain school or a certain teacher. And just like any other clinical, once we make your placement and you've been notified of your placement, unless it is a emergency of some sort, like maybe like you're moving over to a different city and you need to change placements, that would be one of the only ways that I would change your placement. Again, we're very we build these really strong relationships with our districts, and we don't want to, say that we're placing you with, Sue Smith, and then we take that away. That hurts relationships. And also, those cooperating teachers get a stipend for taking you, and they also get a tuition waiver if they're working on their master's or their rank 1. And I don't want them to, think that they have that, that stipend or that tuition waiver coming and then that get taken from them. So we really don't want to, hurt those relationships. Something that you can do during student teaching, if you aren't already, I recommend going ahead and working with your first choice district to become an emergency sub for that district, because I do allow you guys to sub up to 10 days during student teaching for your cooperating teacher, preferably doing 5 and 5. So, because you guys will have a primary placement and an intermediate placement. So you could sub up to 5 days for each cooperating teacher. Now, if there's a special circumstance, like I'll give you one, like this semester, for example, I have a current student teacher whose teacher has to have emergency surgery. She's going to be out a couple weeks. So she's actually going to sub. She's going to use her whole 10 days to sub for her these next couple of weeks coming, just to cover for that surgery, which is nice because she knows the classroom now and she knows those students, and it's definitely preferable for her to step in rather than having a random sub or subs come in. And you guys get paid for it. You get paid as emergency subs those days, which is nice as well. The last bullet point on that screen, you notice that we do allow for long-term subbing while student teaching, but this has to be initiated by the district reaching out because they have an opening that they have not been able to find a qualified candidate for. It is not your, it's not, you saying, ooh, I'm going to go out and look for a job and apply for jobs that are open. No, it has to be initiated by the district reaching out to us about it. In addition, in order for you to even qualify, if they did reach out to us, you have to have at least a minimum 3.0 GPA. You cannot have had any dispositional issues previously, never have been on a performance improvement plan. You have to be up to date on your clinical hours, and you have to have already passed your content praxis and your PLT exam. And again, we're going to talk about those praxis exams and you signing up for those during the student teaching sessions that I'm going to hold, because you have to take those, and you don't have to pass them to move on, but you do have to take those prior to student teaching. So you're going to sign up for those basically after we meet on the 16th or 17th, you guys are going to have about a month to complete your documents. And part of those documents is signing up for those exams. Now, school doesn't start back until mid-August for most districts. You guys can wait until July to take the exams. I don't care when you take them. You just have to take them prior to student teaching. But if you're going to long-term sub, if you get that opportunity, you had to have already taken and passed them for me to, that is part of me authorizing that. We do have the opportunity each semester. There is a study abroad in Ireland for student teaching. The way it works, it kind of varies on when you go. Like sometimes it's at the beginning and sometimes it's at the end. But if it's something you're interested in, Jennifer White in the study abroad office, you can reach out to her and that's her contact information. But like this semester, for example, the students are completing their requirements here in the States in the first 12 weeks and getting everything done for the clinical. And then they are leaving the last 4 weeks to go to Ireland. And they actually student teach in a school outside of, like in a small town outside of Dublin. You get put with a host family to live, and they prepare your meals and send you with a lunch to school. You do that for the first few weeks. And then that last week, you're actually finished with that aspect. And it's actually just a free week for you to explore Ireland and Dublin. I think this semester, I want to say, it also depends on how many people go, because the more they go, the cheaper it is, the better rate that EKU gets. But I think this semester, it was around $4,000 for the ones that are going. I know a lot of people now are using, and probably heard, that you do get a stipend while student teaching now. That started a year ago. Well, this is the third semester that they're doing it right now. And it's typically around $5,000. It's a check, physical check that gets sent to you guys about midway point of your student teaching semester. And there's nothing that you do to qualify. You just have to be a Kentucky resident. I send a report to the state. The only thing you need to do is make sure that your mailing address is correct. If it's not, that's on file with Eastern. If it's not, work with Big East Central to get that updated, because that check will physically mailed to you in the fall. You'll probably get it, probably, if I had to guess, late October, because the group this semester is getting it late February. So probably late September, maybe late September or something like that. So yeah, just make sure that your mailing address is correct, but there's nothing else you need to do to get that stipend check. But having said that, a lot of people this semester have was going to use the money that they were getting from the stipend to pay for them to go to Ireland. So if it's something that you've always wanted to do, we've got a way to pay for it. There's also scholarships that the study abroad office offers. that you can check into. I know that that's been the wheel thing coming up. If you haven't signed up for that for study abroad, I know our dean in our college, I think she covers a few study abroad trips for students with budget out of the dean's office. So if you haven't signed up for that, that's something. Again, the study abroad office is the person that you can contact them if you're interested. This slide just has those two, the dates and times for those two sessions for the informational sessions I was talking about. Again, guys, after you apply, I'll send you guys invites for those, and you can just pick the one that works for you. And I also will, and I will record them too, so you'll be able to always go back and review them if you are like, oh, what'd she say about that? That'll be, I'll send you the recording afterwards. The last one, this slide, it's that PowerPoint is in your Canvas shell, but I wanted to put it on here because it's got all the financial resources that are available currently to you guys. One of the slides is the Praxis Prep. There's like 5 different companies or links for free Praxis Prep that you guys can go ahead and start taking some of the practice exams and see how you do and see maybe what areas within the exam you need to concentrate on in advance of the real thing. If any of you guys need clothing, I know that, going into student teaching, it's an all day, every day for the whole semester. So if you guys need clothing assistance, we have 2 closets here on campus. If they're across the hall here in Combs from Professional Education Services, we have a whole closet of women's clothing, a whole closet of men's clothing, that you guys are more than welcome to come and shop. It's free for you guys. Like, you keep the clothes, whatever you need. So if you want to do that, just shoot me an email and I'll get you with Abby. She oversees it, to set an appointment for you guys to come. And even if you can't drive here and you're too far away and you need stuff, you want to give us sizes, we'll shop it for you and we'll mail it to you. Like, we do that too. Just because we don't want you guys to, if you can't afford it, we want to help you if we can. Let's see, but yeah, go through those and see the different resources that are available on that PowerPoint as well. The last thing, if some of you guys, maybe you aren't ready for student teaching in the fall, maybe you've got some other classes you need to take first. If that's the case, just shoot me an email and tell me, hey, Brady, I'm not going to student teach in the fall. I'm going to student teach in the spring of 27. And then I'll put you on my list for then so that you get an email when that time comes. And if you have any questions on any of this, I have my email in here and my phone number. And I need to add, I need to add this, but I'm Combs 423. If you want to come see me, we can Zoom, whatever you need, I am here for you. So that is it in terms of the PowerPoint. So go ahead and stop sharing and we'll go back and do questions again.
Yeah, you had some questions about option 9 in the chat.
Okay, what's the question? If you don't care, tell me.
So it wants to know, does student teaching look the same for option 9?
Yeah, it looks the same. So you'll be, so whatever teacher that you're with as the para, that will be your only placement. So that'll be a little different. You'll just have one placement, but your requirements are all the same.
That's it. The students have answered a lot of the other questions.
Is it Shy? I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Shy, did you have your hand up? All right. Lindsay, do you have a question?
So you mentioned the long-term subbing, and I'm a little confused about that. So I'm a sub right now, and so if I pass my praxis before this fall, what do you mean? Like, does the school still have to reach out to you even though I'm already a sub in that district?
So there's a difference. So with your, like, if just regular student teaching, if you're already a sub, you don't have to do anything in terms of asking permission to sub for your cooperating teacher. And you get up to 10 days to do that you can do that.
Right.
And you'll have 2 placements unless you're option 9. You'll have a primary placement and an intermediate placement. And you could sub for 5 days for one teacher and 5 days for the other. Or if there is a special circumstance, like I talked about a minute ago, where, that CT needed to have emergency surgery, so she's going to do all her subbing for that teacher, those 10 days. But the long-term subbing is different. That is you as the teacher for the entire semester.
Oh,
and that
okay.
is only if a district cannot find a qualified applicant.
Okay, so
they have to be the one to ask us. It's not you applying for an open job.
right, but so I guess what I'm doing right now, even though it's not technically, it's not the long-term summit, I could
But
still
you're just
use,
randomly subbing.
yeah,
Yeah, so
pretty
that's
much,
where the
yeah.
10 days come into play.
Okay,
You
perfect,
can
yeah.
do 10 days, but
Right.
only for your cooperating teacher. You can't do it for anybody. You can't do it for
Yeah, I
anybody
couldn't.
else in the school. It has to be
Yeah.
one of your cooperating teachers.
I couldn't sub for a different teacher that day and count it for my hours,
Nope.
basically. Right, okay.
No.
Yep, that makes sense.
And you can't do it, period. Like, you couldn't do it and say, well, I just won't count that day. No, you have to be in your placement every single day.
Oh, yeah, okay, yes, I'm following, because I forget that it's different than what it is now. I'm
Yeah,
following now.
because again,
Yeah.
guys, student teaching, your $4.99 semester, you are in that classroom, your placement, all day, every single day. You follow the district calendar.
Right.
As your cooperating teacher does. If they have to come in early for car pickup drop off, you're coming in for car pickup drop off. If they're having to do lunch duty, you're doing it with them. If they have an after school meeting they have to attend, you're doing it with them. If they have a parent teacher conference in the evening, you're doing it with them. If they have a sporting event or a school dance or whatever they got to cover, you're doing it with them. You're doing every single solitary thing that they do. And you're following their days off. So it's not EKU spring break anymore. Well, no, you'll be in the fall. So it's not EKU's fall break anymore. It's their fall break. So always defer to what your CT is doing. If you're on NTI and you're able to log into like whatever they're using, whichever program they use, or the CT can give you stuff to work on, grading or prepping, for lessons, for upcoming lessons for the week, you can count the NTI day. But otherwise, if it's just a traditional snow day and the school's just out, then you would not count that day. But again, we'll talk about that stuff later on how you log those hours. Let's see, Alex, you got a question?
Yeah, I just had a question about the student teaching application. I am option 9, and I know that it was like you pick your preferences for the school that you work for. But
yeah, so for those of you guys that are option 9, just still go ahead and do the application, because we need that to trigger like your advisor being able to look at everything and make sure that you're good to go. But in that space, where I say that fourth one down where it said, if your district's not listed, just put your information, like just say, hey, I'm option 9. It's my same, same CT that I had for 450.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Winter, you got a question?
Yes, I have 2 questions.
Sure.
So the first one is about the praxis exam for student teaching. Is it the same thing that we took to get into the teaching program? No.
Nope. This is the content praxis. So you will take the elementary multiple subjects 7,000 series exam. And you will also take the PLT for K through 5, which is Principles of Learning and Teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
the multiple subject, it covers, all 4 subject areas. And the nice thing is, guys, that if you would happen to fail one of the subjects, then you would just retake that singular subject. You wouldn't have to take the whole exam again.
And then where I'm not starting teaching till spring of 27, would I hold off to apply, or would I?
Yeah, what you'll do, Winter, just shoot me an email to tell me that. And then when it gets time for the application period and the informational meetings that I'll hold in the fall for the spring student teachers, I'll send you all that information.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
that PL and praxis information you just told us,
Mhm.
could someone either put that in a chat or email? Could you put it in the email
I
so
will
we
go,
know?
it is items I will go over during the student teaching informational.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, because that's part of that's the part of the items that you have to do. So we'll talk about all that night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Olivia, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, so if we were a long-term sub for student teaching, because I'm a long-term sub right now, would we have a primary placement and an intermediate placement still?
So again, you cannot be a long-term sub unless the district initiates that.
Right.
So no, you wouldn't have two placements. What would
Okay.
happen if you did happen to get a long-term sub position? The way we do it is, okay, so I'm going to use this as an example. So say that you're long-term subbing for second grade, then part of the agreement that is signed between EKU, you, the school, and your clinical educator is that you have to be released to get 80 hours in a intermediate classroom, and you'll have a certain teacher that you will go into their room for 80 hours.
Okay.
But again, this cannot just be them letting you long-term sub.
Right.
It has to be an open position that they don't have a qualified applicant for.
Right.
I will
Okay.
not approve it otherwise.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Because I'll be frank with you guys, I don't like long-term subbing. I think it's terrible. I think you do not get the experience that you need being under a certified teacher. And I think that it is a detriment to you. But again, having said that, this is the way we do it now. This is what the state allows. And so we can't not do it. But I think that it is so much better for you guys to have a true student teaching experience. And I will say that every day, every single day of the week. Alex, you have another question?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Oh, you're okay. Angela, is there any other questions in the chat that we didn't cover? While she's looking,
I've tried to answer them. I've got one from a student about their placement. I was looking at that right now, but I think we've answered.
Okay,
I'll try
Maddie,
to.
your hand
There was
raised.
one about substitute teaching, but I think you've just answered it.
I do
maybe
have a
not.
question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm one of the Fayette County students, and you had said in the beginning to wait till the end.
Yeah.
So I don't know if someone will possibly email me about that, or
Let's see if you're one of the ones that the placement has came in.
okay, it might be under Catherine Fouch as well.
Yeah. So Maddie, yours actually came in today, and Jason Miller is your clinical educator, and he was sent your placement information.
Okay, that works.
So have you had Dr. Miller before?
The name is familiar.
So it's jason.miller2@eku.edu if you would like to email him, because like I said, he's your clinical educator and he can give you your placement information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions that we have not? Oh, I see this one. So primary and intermediate, it's just the way that they dictate groupings of the grade levels. So primary is K through 3 and intermediate is 4th or 5th. So one of your placements will be in a K through 3 classroom for primary, and one of your and then for your first 8 weeks and your second 8 weeks, or I guess 7 weeks now, because we don't do 8 weeks, we don't do 16 weeks anymore. And then your second one will be intermediate, either a 4th or 5th grade, and it'll be at the same school. But yeah, so you'll switch from one to the other, and that way you get experience in both levels, and then in addition to the experience that you've had previously during your clinicals, and then that is partially how we say that you've had the broad range of experience of a K through 5. Angela, can you check on Shy's placement and get with her?
Yes,
She had a
I've already
question
sent
about
all of it.
that. Oh, okay, perfect. And then Maddie, I think we're working on yours because I think, yeah, yours was the
Maddie,
one
yes.
that,
Is she
yeah.
Madison?
No, she was the one that had the Garrett County at Camp Dick Robinson. The teacher isn't there anymore.
Oh,
So we need to, she's in yellow on the spreadsheet, Angela, if you want, because we need to get a new placement for her.
okay. I think Donna had one that didn't work at Garrett. Let me see who that was.
All right. So Maddie, we'll get you that placement as soon as we have it worked out. But I will tell you that Janice Barton is your clinical educator. If she has not reached out to you, janis.barton@eku.edu if you'd like to go ahead and reach out to her. Oh, perfect. She already reached out. Great. But yeah, as soon as we get that placement squared away, hopefully this week we'll get that. Either Janice or myself or Angela will reach out to you. All right. Anybody else got a question? And don't feel bad if you think of something like afterwards, just shoot us an email. That happens all the time. I'll be like, dang it, I forgot to ask something. Yeah, just send us an email. And I think I sent it out earlier today, the email about the student teaching application. So you have that as well. And like I said, tomorrow I'll send you this PowerPoint and the recording so that you can reference it too. Let's see, Olivia. Yes, you are, Olivia. Miss Thompson is your clinical educator. So just reach back out to her. She has your placement and have her give you your placement, your CT in their email. Yeah, Shy, that's okay that it's fine that you're in the same one. We'll try to do something different next for student teaching. Any other questions? All right. Well, that's all I've got, guys. Again, if you haven't got your placement yet, we'll be getting it to you.